Beloved friends, let us remember today that no failure is final, no setback is permanent, and no mistake is beyond the reach of God's redeeming grace. Many people, when they stumble, run away from the very presence that can heal and restore them. But wisdom tells us, when you fail, do not run away from God, but run toward Him. For He is not the voice of condemnation. He is the voice of compassion, mercy, and renewal. He does not cast you down. He lifts you up. He does not dwell on your past. He opens a radiant door to your future. And as you listen with the ear of faith, your heart will discover that every so-called failure is but a stepping stone toward a higher unfolding of your life in divine order. Beloved friends, let us open our hearts to a great truth today. Failure is not final, it is feedback, a message from life itself, pointing the way to a higher road. Many people tremble when they stumble. They say, "This is the end of me, this is the proof that I am not worthy. This is the sign that I shall never succeed." And yet I say to you with the authority of divine wisdom, that failure is but the raw material of success, the clay out of which victory is fashioned. When you fall, it is not the end of your journey, it is the beginning of new understanding. Every setback contains within it a seed of greater growth. And when you look upon failure with the eyes of faith, you no longer see disaster. You see instruction. You see feedback. You see the guiding hand of God gently leading you onward. Let us remember that all of nature operates through trial and adjustment. The baby learning to walk falls again and again. Yet no one calls that child a failure. The child is simply learning balance, learning rhythm, learning strength. The falling is not defeat. It is instruction. It is the natural feedback of the body and mind saying, adjust here, lean there, stand strong. And so it is with you. When you fail, life is giving you feedback. The infinite mind, through the laws of cause and effect, is whispering to you, turn this way, refine that thought, strengthen this habit, release that fear. What you call failure is simply a signal pointing you toward the path of mastery. Do not curse your failures, for they are your teachers. If you run from them, you run from the very lessons that can bring you into the fullness of your destiny. Look at the great inventors, the thinkers, the artists, the builders of history. Each one has behind him or her a trail of so-called failures. Thomas Edison tried 1,000 times before he brought forth the incandescent light. Were those 1,000 failures? No, they were 1,000 feedbacks, 1,000 lessons, 1,000 refinements, until at last the light shone. Every attempt brought him closer, and in the end he was grateful for every single one. Life is never against you. The infinite is always pressing toward fuller expression through you. When you fail, you have simply come up against a law you did not yet understand. And what is the function of law? It is to teach, to reveal, to correct, to guide. Suppose you put your hand upon a hot stove. The pain you feel is not punishment, it is feedback. It is the body's wisdom telling you, remove your hand, this is harmful. You do not curse the law of heat. You respect it, you learn from it, and you adjust your action. So it is with the failures of life. They are feedback from the great laws of the universe, telling you, not this way, but that way. Not with fear, but with faith. Not with doubt, but with confidence. Not with haste, but with patience. The tragedy of many lives is not failure itself, but misinterpretation of failure. They take it as final, as doom, as judgment, when in truth it is merely guidance. They run from God instead of running to Him. They wallow in guilt instead of rising in wisdom. They build monuments to their mistakes instead of harvesting the lessons. Yet the wise soul, the soul illumined by truth, looks upon failure as a friend in disguise, a stern but loving teacher, pointing the way toward fulfillment. When you fail, say within yourself, this is not the end of me. This is a new beginning. This is life showing me a better way. I listen now. I receive the lesson. I am guided by infinite intelligence to adjust, to refine, to move higher. Such an attitude transforms your experience. Instead of sinking into despair, you rise on the wings of wisdom. Instead of fearing failure, you welcome its message. Instead of shrinking back, you step forward with new confidence. Your subconscious mind, that great fertile soil of all your thoughts and impressions, responds to the images you impress upon it. If you interpret failure as condemnation, as the voice of defeat, your subconscious will accept that image, and reproduce more failure, more frustration, more fear. But if you interpret failure as feedback, as a guidepost, as the hand of God directing you, your subconscious will accept that image too and begin reorganizing all your faculties toward growth, correction, and success. You are never a victim of failure. You are always a master in training. Remember this: the infinite never condemns. God does not say, "You failed, therefore I reject you." No, he whispers, "Child, you stumbled, but here is the way, walk ye in it." Divine love is not angry with you. It is always lifting, always instructing, always guiding. When you fail, run toward that love. Place your whole self into its keeping. Say with faith, "Though I fall, I shall rise again. Though I stumble, the Lord upholds me with his hand." Every so-called failure is turned to good, for God works all things together for my highest blessing. Failure is not final, beloved. It is feedback. It is life's way of correcting your course, like the compass needle that trembles and shifts until it points north. You too are guided, corrected, adjusted, until you align with the great North Star of God's plan for you. Trust the process. Do not be discouraged when you fall. Rejoice that you are learning. Rejoice that you are growing. Rejoice that you are being perfected in wisdom. Each failure is a rung on the ladder of your soul's ascent. Each misstep is a hidden blessing, for it brings you closer to the understanding of divine law. As the sculptor chips away at the marble, so life chips away at your errors, your false beliefs, your limited thinking, until at last the masterpiece of your true self shines forth. Therefore, let not your heart be troubled when you fail. Lift up your eyes, affirm the truth. Declare within, "I am guided, I am corrected, I am lifted. Failure is my teacher, not my master. I am destined to win, for God is with me." Then step forward in faith, knowing that every seeming setback is but a step forward in disguise. I tell you now with full conviction of spirit, there is no failure in God's universe, only lessons leading to greater life. When you fail, remember, it is not final. It is feedback, and in that feedback lies the seed of your triumph. Beloved friends, let us dwell upon this profound truth. God is not against you. He is for you. Many minds, conditioned by fear, by guilt, by misunderstanding of spiritual law, imagine that when they fail, when they fall short, when they stumble in life, God turns his face away from them. They imagine him as a stern judge, pointing an accusing finger, holding records of their errors. But this is not the nature of the infinite. God is not the voice of condemnation. He is the presence of everlasting love. God is not your accuser. He is your defender, your sustainer, your helper, and your friend. He is closer to you than your very breath. His desire is not to punish but to heal, not to reject but to embrace, not to condemn but to uplift. When you fail, when you miss the mark, it is not God who stands against you, but rather your own false beliefs, your own limited thinking, your own misinterpretations of truth. The infinite presence is pure love, unchanging, unwavering, eternal. Think of the sun shining in the sky. If clouds pass before it, if storms gather, if darkness descends, does the sun stop shining? No. It shines in its fullness, regardless of the storm. In the same way, God's love is constant. Whether you succeed or stumble, whether you walk upright or falter, your failures may cast a shadow, but his love shines still. It is you who must turn again toward that light. And when you do, the shadows flee, the warmth returns, and you discover that he was never against you. He was always for you. I have known people who, after making mistakes, withdrew from prayer, withdrew from worship, withdrew from fellowship with God, believing themselves unworthy, believing that they had forfeited his favor. They were deceived by the voice of fear. For God never withdraws from you. He never breaks his covenant of love. He is the eternal yes within you, the infinite affirmation of your worth and your destiny. Do not imagine for one moment that the infinite intelligence would create you in his own image and likeness only to abandon you when you falter. No, he lifts you up. He sends his light to guide you. He whispers his encouragement to your soul, saying, "Rise, my child, and walk again. This is not your end. This is a new beginning." When you understand this, you remove the false image of God as a harsh judge and replace it with the true image of God as divine love. Your subconscious mind responds with healing, with confidence, with peace. For the subconscious always accepts the image you hold of God. If you think of him as angry, your subconscious produces fear, guilt, and disease. If you think of him as loving, merciful, and supportive, your subconscious produces courage, restoration, and harmony. Thus, your concept of God determines your inner experience. The highest truth is that God is for you, never against you. Consider the prodigal son in the parable told by the Master Jesus. He squandered his inheritance. He fell into degradation. He came to ruin. Yet when he turned back to his father's house, his father ran to meet him, embraced him, clothed him, and celebrated his return. This is the eternal nature of God. He does not keep account of your failures. He welcomes you home. He restores your dignity. He clothes you with love. He feasts you with joy. The son thought his father would be angry, but instead he found only love. And so it is with you. The moment you turn toward God, you find him rushing toward you with open arms. Failure is not a sign of divine rejection. It is an opportunity for divine revelation. It is a call to turn back to the source of your strength. And when you do, you find that God was never against you. He was always working within you for your highest good, even in your lowest moments. His Spirit whispers within you, guiding, correcting, encouraging. You cannot escape his love. The psalmist said, "If I ascend into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there." This is the inescapable presence of divine love. No failure can separate you from it. When you fail, remind yourself of this truth. God is for me. Infinite love surrounds me. Infinite wisdom guides me. Infinite power lifts me. Nothing can be against me, for God himself is with me. Such affirmations impress your subconscious with the reality of divine support. You begin to feel an inner strength rising, a quiet confidence that assures you, I shall rise again. I shall overcome. I shall triumph. This is not wishful thinking. This is alignment with eternal law. The laws of life are impartial and beneficent. They are not against you. They are for you. If you misuse them, you may experience pain. But even then, the pain is not punishment. It is correction. It is feedback guiding you back to harmony. The law of gravity is not against you if you fall. It simply operates as it always does. Likewise, the law of mind is not against you when you fail. It simply reflects the thoughts you sow. But the moment you align with truth, the law works for your good. It was never against you. It was always impartial, always faithful, always ready to bless the one who understands and applies it rightly. Beloved, remove from your heart the false image of a condemning God. See him as he truly is, the eternal friend, the compassionate Father, the indwelling presence. He desires your good, your success, your joy, your peace. When you fail, do not run away in fear. Run toward him in faith. Say, though I stumble, the Lord upholds me. Though I fall, I rise again, for the Almighty is my strength and my song. Think often of these words. God is not against me. God is for me. His love surrounds me. His wisdom guides me. His power strengthens me. These words, repeated and believed, will saturate your subconscious with a sense of divine partnership. And when you feel God is for you, you cannot fail. You may stumble, but you will rise. You may fall short, but you will reach your goal. You may err, but you will be corrected. For the infinite cannot forsake you. He is the breath within your lungs, the life within your heart, the light within your mind. Therefore, let go of fear. Let go of guilt. Let go of the thought that God is angry with you. That is superstition, not truth. The truth is that you are loved with an everlasting love. The truth is that God is on your side. The truth is that the infinite is your refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. The truth is that no failure can separate you from his love. No mistake can erase his mercy. No darkness can extinguish his light. So today, affirm with joy, God is for me. I am not alone. I am guided, lifted, and restored. My failure is not a sign of rejection. It is an invitation to greater intimacy with God, who loves me eternally. Hold fast to this truth, and you will find that even in failure you are victorious, for the Almighty works all things together for your good. Beloved friends, let us contemplate together the wondrous law of mind and spirit. When you turn toward God in faith, even in your darkest hour, your subconscious receives that impression of light and begins to reorganize your entire life toward healing, success, and peace. This is no mere philosophy. It is a law just as real and as certain as the law of gravity. The subconscious is the fertile soil of your being. Whatever seed you plant within it, whether fear or faith, despair or hope, darkness or light, it grows, it multiplies, it becomes your experience. And when you turn sincerely and wholeheartedly toward the presence of God, you impress upon your subconscious the image of divine guidance, and the power within you begins to shape new conditions in your outer world. Consider this. A room may have been in darkness for years, but the moment you strike a match, the moment you switch on the light, the darkness flees. It does not linger, it does not fight, it does not resist. It disappears instantly because it has no substance. Darkness is merely the absence of light. Likewise, despair is merely the absence of hope. Fear is merely the absence of faith. Confusion is merely the absence of wisdom. The moment you turn toward God and affirm His presence, His love, His power, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness comprehends it not. It cannot resist, for it has no real substance. Your subconscious is a marvelous instrument, designed by infinite intelligence, to respond to your dominant thoughts and beliefs. If you fill it with thoughts of separation from God, with images of failure, with feelings of condemnation, it produces confusion, illness, limitation, and lack. But if you turn toward God and fill it with affirmations of His love, His guidance, His sufficiency, then the subconscious reorganizes itself and begins to produce harmony, healing, success, and abundance in your life. What you impress upon it in moments of crisis determines the outcome of your situation. Many people, when they fail or stumble, turn away from God. They say, I am not worthy. I have disappointed Him. I must hide from His presence. And so they fill their subconscious with guilt, with fear, with the image of separation. Their outer life becomes a reflection of this inner misdirection. But the wise soul, even in failure, turns toward God and says, I may have fallen, but Thou liftest me up. I may have erred, but Thy wisdom corrects me. I may have failed, but Thy love restores me. Such turning impresses the subconscious with light, and instantly the process of restoration begins. Think of a compass needle. No matter how much you disturb it, no matter how many times you shake it, it will always swing back toward the north. In the same way, your soul, when it turns toward God, always swings back toward harmony. The subconscious is magnetized by the divine presence, and the moment you align your thought with God, the inner compass of your being points you back toward peace, toward strength, toward success. When you fail, when you are in darkness, do not rehearse the failure. Do not replay the images of loss and shame. Instead, turn to God in faith and declare, Infinite Spirit within me, you are my guide. You are my light. You are my strength. Though I stumble, I am upheld. Though I fall, I rise. My subconscious is now filled with the image of success, of healing, of peace. As you repeat such affirmations with conviction, the subconscious accepts them as true, and the outer world begins to reflect them. This is the law of life, and it never fails. Do not underestimate the power of a single turning. The thief on the cross, in his final hour, turned toward the Master and said, Lord, remember me. And he was told, This day shalt thou be with me in paradise. A single turning of the heart, even in the darkest hour, brings instant transformation, for the subconscious responds immediately to the impression of divine truth. The past does not matter. The weight of years of error cannot resist the light of a single moment of genuine faith. One moment of turning toward God outweighs a lifetime of wandering away. Beloved, your subconscious is always listening. It is always taking the impress of your dominant thought. Do not feed it with fear. Do not poison it with guilt. Do not starve it with doubt. Feed it with truth. Nourish it with affirmations of God's goodness. Saturate it with images of light and love. Then, even when you fail outwardly, the inner machinery of your being will begin to reorganize circumstances for your restoration. Failures will turn into stepping stones. Losses will be transmuted into gains. Disappointments will blossom into divine appointment. This is the alchemy of God working through your subconscious mind. You may say, but I have failed so many times. Then I say to you, all the more reason to turn toward God now. For each turning is a new beginning. Each turning impresses upon your subconscious a new pattern. You are not bound by your past. You are bound only by the images you continue to hold in your mind. Change the image, and you change the outcome. Plant new seeds, and you reap a new harvest. The infinite does not hold your failures against you. Your subconscious does not cling to your past unless you insist on rehearsing it. The moment you turn toward God with new affirmations of faith, the subconscious accepts them and begins to bring them forth. Say often within yourself, God's love fills me now. His light guides me. His wisdom directs me. I am healed. I am whole. I am restored. Let these words sink deep into the fertile soil of your subconscious. Imagine the sunlight of God shining upon the garden of your mind, causing these seeds to sprout and grow. Then watch with wonder as your outer life begins to reflect this inner turning. Even in the darkest hour, when all seems lost, you are never far from light. You are one thought away, one prayer away, one turning away from peace. Just as the switch turns on the lamp and floods the room with light, so one turning toward God in faith floods your soul with illumination. And when your subconscious receives that light, it reorganizes every cell of your body, every faculty of your mind, every circumstance of your life toward wholeness and success. Therefore, do not despair when you fail. Do not linger in the shadows. Turn at once toward God. Affirm His presence. Impress your subconscious with images of light and love. Trust the law of mind, which is as certain as the sunrise, and soon you will discover that what seemed like the end was only the beginning, that what seemed like ruin was the foundation of restoration, that what seemed like failure was the seed of your greatest triumph. Beloved, your subconscious is the instrument of God within you. Use it rightly. Turn it toward Him in faith, and it will carry you into peace, into healing, into success. This is the eternal law. What you turn toward, you become. Turn toward God, and you become the expression of His love, His wisdom, and His power. Beloved friends, let us reflect upon this truth that is both profound and practical. When you run away from God, you create more darkness in your soul. When you avoid His presence, when you turn from His light, you step into the shadows of fear, guilt, and confusion. The light has not departed, but you have turned your face away from it. Just as one who closes his eyes to the sun experiences darkness, so the soul that closes itself to God experiences despair. The sun is still shining, the light is still present, but the one who turns away cannot see it. In the same way, God's love never ceases to shine upon you, but if you turn away in fear or shame, you live as though in darkness, though His radiance is ever near. I have spoken often of the nature of fear. Fear is faith inverted. It is faith in evil rather than faith in good, faith in separation rather than faith in unity, faith in punishment rather than faith in mercy. When you run away from God after failure, you are expressing fear. You are saying, I believe He rejects me, I believe He is against me, I believe He has turned His face from me. But this is not truth, it is illusion. It is darkness of the mind, not reality of spirit. For God never turns away. He is changeless love, the same yesterday, today, and forever. It is you who turn, and in that turning away you create for yourself the illusion of distance. Running from God never resolves the problem. It only magnifies it. The man who has failed and hides from God increases his burden, for he carries not only the weight of failure, but the added burden of guilt. The woman who errs and avoids prayer suffers not only from her mistake, but from the gnawing sense of separation. Their subconscious mind, fed with images of rejection, produces more confusion, more defeat, more sorrow. The attempt to escape from God is like trying to escape from your own shadow. It cannot be done. The farther you run, the more intense the shadow becomes. But oh, the joy, the relief, the liberation that comes when you turn back toward Him. The moment you face the light, the shadows vanish. The moment you open your heart to His presence, peace floods your soul. The darkness is not driven out by struggle, but by illumination. You do not chase away shadows with a broom. You simply turn on the light. In the same way, you do not drive away despair by effort. You dispel it by turning to God in faith, for His light scatters the shadows instantly. Consider the story of Jonah, who fled from the presence of the Lord. He tried to run away, but the farther he went, the deeper his trouble became. He found himself cast into the sea, swallowed by the great fish, engulfed in darkness. Only when he turned back, only when he prayed from the depths, did deliverance come. His running had produced darkness, but his turning restored him to light. This story is not merely history, it is psychology. Every soul that flees from God finds itself in a sea of confusion, swallowed by the darkness of despair. But every soul that turns back finds deliverance, for the infinite presence is always ready to restore. Beloved, understand this. God is not the cause of your darkness. He is the solution to it. He is not the author of your failure. He is the remedy for it. When you run from him, you run from your only true help. When you avoid him, you avoid the source of your strength. You may turn to distractions, to pleasures, to human props, but none of these can satisfy. They are like broken cisterns that hold no water. Only in God, only in the infinite source, is your thirst quenched, your hunger satisfied, your darkness illumined. The subconscious mind is deeply influenced by the direction of your attention. When you turn away from God, your subconscious receives the impression of fear, guilt, and separation, and it begins to bring forth those very conditions in your outer life. But when you turn toward God, your subconscious receives the impression of love, forgiveness, and union, and it begins to manifest harmony, peace, and success. The outer world reflects the inner turning. Run from God, and you run into more problems. Run toward him, and you find solutions springing up in unexpected ways. Some people say, I will turn to God once I have cleaned up my life, once I have overcome my weakness, once I have corrected my mistakes. But this is to put the cart before the horse. You cannot clean yourself without his power. You cannot heal yourself without his presence. It is by turning to him now, in the midst of your weakness, in the midst of your failure, that healing begins. The sick man does not wait until he is well before visiting the physician. He goes in his sickness, and the physician makes him whole. Likewise, go to God in your weakness, and he will strengthen you. Go in your guilt, and he will forgive you. Go in your failure, and he will restore you. Do not believe the lie that you must be perfect before you approach God. He delights in your turning, however feeble. The moment you turn, he receives you. The moment you pray, he hears you. The moment you open your heart, his light enters. Running away multiplies darkness, but turning back, even in the faintest whisper of faith, floods you with light. Therefore, beloved, do not run from God. Run to him. Do not avoid his presence. Seek it. Do not hide in shame. Stand in faith, for he is not your enemy. He is your helper. He is not against you. He is for you. The darkness of failure, the shadows of fear, the weight of guilt, these are all illusions of separation. They vanish in the presence of divine light. Say often within yourself, I do not run from God. I run to him. I turn now to his light, and all darkness flees. I open my heart to his love, and guilt dissolves. I trust his wisdom, and confusion is gone. I lean upon his strength, and weakness is transformed into power. Let these affirmations impress themselves upon your subconscious. Then watch as your outer life begins to reflect the inner turning. You will find opportunities opening, strength returning, peace arising, and joy flowing once again. Remember always, running away creates more darkness. Turning toward God dispels it instantly. No matter how far you have strayed, no matter how deep your failure, the moment you turn, you are home. The light shines, the shadows flee, and you walk once again in the radiance of divine love. Beloved friends, let us turn our attention to a powerful practice that can lift the soul and restore the heart, the use of affirmations of renewal. Even in failure, even in the midst of disappointment, you can affirm the truth of God's presence, the reality of his love, the certainty of his guidance, and you will find your whole being lifted to a higher level. For words are not empty sounds. Thoughts are not idle whispers. They are creative forces, spiritual energies, seeds planted in the garden of the subconscious mind. And what you affirm with faith, your subconscious accepts and brings forth in your outer experience. When you stumble and fall, the natural tendency of the untrained mind is to rehearse its failures, to dwell upon mistakes, to magnify guilt, to brood over weakness. Such repetition of negative images imprints the subconscious with patterns of defeat, and the outer life then reflects these very patterns. But you, knowing the laws of mind, need not fall into that trap. You can choose instead to affirm the eternal truth, to lift your voice and your thoughts, In words of renewal, these affirmations repeated with feeling and faith sow seeds of healing, strength, and victory, and the subconscious responds accordingly. Consider the words, God's love is greater than my mistake. His wisdom guides me now. I am lifted up and renewed. Simple though they are, these words are powerful because they carry truth. They shift your focus from guilt to grace, from failure to faith, from defeat to renewal. When impressed upon the subconscious, such affirmations stir it into new activity. They reorganize your inner faculties, align you with divine order, and open the door to restoration. You may think, how can words change my life? Beloved, words are not mere sounds. They are carriers of thought, and thought is the formative power of the universe. The entire cosmos is a thought of God, expressed into form, and you, made in His image and likeness, share in this creative power. Your affirmations, your declarations of truth, are the way you impress your subconscious with the patterns you wish to see expressed. When you fail, do not affirm defeat. Do not say, I am ruined, I am hopeless, I am beyond repair. Or if you affirm such things, your subconscious will accept them and manifest accordingly. Instead, affirm the truth. Though I fail, I am not a failure. Though I stumble, I am upheld. God's love is with me, His wisdom guides me, His power strengthens me. These words plant seeds of renewal, and just as the farmer trusts the seed to sprout in due season, so must you trust your affirmations to bring forth their harvest. The subconscious is impartial. It does not argue, it simply accepts. If you feed it fear, it grows fear. If you feed it faith, it grows faith. If you feed it guilt, it grows guilt. If you feed it grace, it grows grace. Therefore, take care what words you repeat within yourself. Let them be words of light, words of renewal, words of divine truth. In so doing, you align yourself with the infinite, and your outer life becomes a reflection of inner harmony. The practice of affirmations is not vain repetition. It is not parroting empty phrases. It is impressing truth upon the deepest levels of your mind until it becomes the automatic pattern of your thought. Just as water wears away stone by continual flow, so affirmations reshape the subconscious by continual impression. Little by little, old patterns of fear dissolve, old habits of doubt weaken, and new patterns of faith and courage grow strong. Beloved, use affirmations not only in times of failure, but as a daily practice. Let your morning begin with words of renewal. Today, God's wisdom guides me. Today, His love surrounds me. Today, His power strengthens me. I walk in harmony, success, and peace. Let your night close with words of assurance. I rest now in God's presence. His healing power restores me. His peace fills my soul. I wake renewed, refreshed, victorious. Such regular affirmations shape the subconscious into a temple of faith, and the outer life becomes an unfolding of divine order. Even when you do not feel the words, speak them, for feelings may lag, but words are seeds, and seeds germinate in silence. The soil does not protest that the seed is too small. It receives it and nurtures it. In the same way, your subconscious accepts your affirmations and nurtures them. Even when your conscious feelings are weak, persist in affirmations and soon the feelings follow. The faith grows and the results appear. Remember the power of the spoken word in Scripture? God said, let there be light, and there was light. The word was the vehicle of creation. Jesus said to the sick, be healed, and healing followed. He said to the storm, peace, be still, and calm returned. The creative power of the word, spoken with faith, is beyond measure. And you, as a child of the infinite, share in this power. Your affirmations are not idle. They are creative decrees, shaping your destiny in harmony with divine law. When you affirm renewal after failure, you are lining yourself with truth. You are reminding your subconscious that the infinite has not abandoned you, that His love is ever present, that His wisdom is guiding you now. You are planting seeds of hope where weeds of despair once grew. You are building inner strength where weakness once dwelt. And in time you will see outer circumstances rearrange themselves to match your inner affirmation. Say often, God's love is greater than my mistake. I am forgiven, I am guided, I am renewed. Infinite intelligence directs my path. I rise stronger than before, and I walk in the light of divine victory. Let these words echo within your mind until they become the very atmosphere of your soul. For what you continually affirm, you become. Beloved, affirmations are not about pretending. They are about proclaiming truth until truth becomes your experience. You are not deceiving yourself when you affirm God's love, even in failure. You are reminding yourself of reality. The deception lies in affirming failure as final, in affirming guilt as eternal, in affirming separation as real. The truth is that God's love is constant, His mercy everlasting, His guidance unfailing. To affirm this truth is to walk in the light, even while your outer world seems dark, and soon the outer darkness dissolves, and the light manifests in your experience. Therefore, in every moment of failure, let affirmations of renewal be your song. Do not rehearse defeat. Declare victory. Do not brood over mistakes. Proclaim forgiveness. Do not magnify guilt. Magnify grace. Your subconscious will accept these affirmations, and your life will be transformed. Affirm now with me, I am lifted by God's love. I am guided by His wisdom. I am renewed by His power. Every failure is turned into success. Every setback is a stepping stone. Every mistake is forgiven and forgotten. I walk in light. I walk in peace. I walk in victory. Let this truth sink deep into your heart, and you shall see its fruits in your life. Beloved friends, let us meditate upon this marvelous truth. God turns setbacks into setups. What seems to the outer mind is defeat. What appears as loss or disappointment is often the very thing that prepares you for a greater blessing, a higher opportunity, a more radiant expression of your divine destiny. There is a law at work in the universe, a law of transmutation, whereby the infinite takes even the things that appear contrary and uses them for your good. What you call a setback is, in truth, a divine setup for advancement. The seed must fall into the ground and seem to die before it brings forth fruit. The night must come before the dawn reveals its glory. The storm must pass before the rainbow shines. In the same way, your apparent setbacks are but preparations for breakthrough. Consider how often the stories of great lives reveal this law. Many who achieved greatness first endured what the world would call failure. Joseph in the ancient scriptures was cast into a pit, sold into slavery, and unjustly imprisoned. These were setbacks to the natural eye, but each one was a step in God's divine setup. For without the pit, without the prison, Joseph would never have reached the palace. His setback became the setup for his rise to power and his ability to save a nation. So it is with you. What appears to delay you may in truth be preparing you, equipping you, positioning you for something greater than you can now imagine. When you experience a setback, you must not interpret it as the end. That is the error of the fearful mind. Instead, you must affirm, this too is for my good. This too is part of the divine plan. This too shall serve me, for God works all things together for good to those who love Him. By affirming this, you impress upon your subconscious the image of divine order. The subconscious then goes to work reorganizing circumstances, attracting new opportunities, opening hidden doors, turning the setback into a stepping stone. The outer mind is short-sighted. It judges by appearances. It sees only the immediate loss. But the inner mind, illumined by truth, looks beyond appearances. It knows that every apparent obstacle conceals within it the seed of greater growth. The tree that endures the storm sends its roots deeper and grows stronger. The soul that endures setbacks, while affirming God's presence, grows deeper in faith, stronger in character, and more radiant in victory. The very thing that seemed to break you becomes the thing that makes you. Beloved, let this truth sink deep into your heart. There are no wasted experiences in God's universe. Even your failures, even your mistakes, even your detours are woven into the tapestry of divine order. You may not see the pattern now, but in due time you will look back and say, what I thought was a curse was a blessing in disguise. What I thought was the end was the beginning. What I thought was a setback was truly a setup for my destiny. The subconscious mind responds powerfully to the way you interpret events. If you say, this setback proves I am defeated, your subconscious accepts that impression and reproduces more defeat. But if you say, this setback is my setup for something greater, your subconscious accepts that image and begins to shape your outer life accordingly. The impression you give it determines the expression it produces. Therefore, discipline yourself to see every disappointment as divine appointment, every delay as divine timing, every setback as divine setup. You may ask, but how can this be true when I have lost so much, when I have failed so deeply? Beloved, do not measure the power of God by the magnitude of your loss. His wisdom is infinite, his resources inexhaustible, his power boundless. What you have lost outwardly, he can multiply inwardly. What you have missed in one place, he can provide in another. The infinite never runs out of possibilities. He is not limited by your circumstances. He can make a way where there is no way. He can turn even ashes into beauty, even mourning into dancing, even failure into triumph. Think of the seed planted in the ground. To the casual observer, it looks like burial, like the end. But in truth, it is only the beginning of new life. The soil presses upon it. The darkness covers it. But within it stirs the power of growth. Soon the shell breaks, the roots go down, the stem rises up, and a new plant appears. What seemed like a setback, the burial of the seed, was actually a setup for its growth. So it is with you. When life presses you down, when darkness surrounds you, know that within you stirs the power of new growth, new strength, new beginning. Let us then practice affirmations that align us with this truth. Say within yourself, every setback is a setup for my comeback. Every obstacle is an opportunity. Every delay is divine timing. God turns all things to my good. I trust his wisdom. I rest in his love. I rejoice in his plan. Repeat these words until they become the very atmosphere of your soul. The subconscious will accept them, and your life will begin to reflect them. Remember, too, that many blessings come disguised as setbacks. The job you lost may be the pathway to a greater career. The relationship that ended may be the opening for a higher love. The door that closed may be the protection that led you to a better door. What you thought was rejection was in truth redirection. What you thought was loss was preservation. God sees the end from the beginning, and he knows what is best for you. Trust him, and you will discover that the setback was part of the setup. Beloved, never despair in the face of disappointment. Never surrender to the shadows of defeat. Lift your eyes, lift your heart, lift your voice and declare, this is not the end. This is a step in God's divine plan. This is a setup for my success. Then walk forward in faith, knowing that the infinite is guiding your every step. So I say to you with confidence born of truth, there are no failures in God's universe, only lessons. There are no dead ends, only new directions. There are no permanent losses, only temporary appearances. Every setback is a setup. Every delay is preparation. Every disappointment is a blessing in disguise. And when you align your thought with this truth, your subconscious brings it to pass, and your life becomes a testimony to the wondrous power of divine order. Beloved friends, let us dwell upon the healing power of forgiveness. For when you fail and fall short of your ideal, the surest way to rise again is to forgive yourself and to accept the infinite mercy of God. Many live under the crushing weight of self-condemnation. They replay their errors again and again, rehearsing the scenes of their mistakes, feeding guilt into their subconscious, and as a result, they create a cycle of repeated failures. But there is a greater way, the way of divine forgiveness. The moment you turn to God with sincerity, the infinite wipes the slate clean in your consciousness. For God holds no grudges. God remembers no sins. God is eternal love and mercy. It is only your own mind that clings to the shadows of guilt. When you release them through forgiveness, you open the door for renewal and strength. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is power. It is not an excuse for wrongdoing. It is a recognition that the past cannot be changed by condemnation, but it can be transformed by mercy. When you forgive yourself, you are not condoning your mistakes. You are refusing to chain yourself to them. You are declaring, I am more than my error. I am a child of God, and his life flows through me. His love heals me, his wisdom guides me. Such forgiveness lifts the burden of guilt and restores harmony to the subconscious mind. And remember, the subconscious always brings forth into your outer life the patterns impressed upon it. When you impress guilt, you reap more failure. When you impress forgiveness, you reap renewal, growth, and victory. Consider how the body itself responds to forgiveness. When you carry resentment, whether against others or against yourself, it poisons your system. It releases harmful emotions, disturbing digestion, circulation, and nerves. Many diseases are rooted in unhealed guilt or bitterness. But when you forgive, your whole being relaxes. The burden lifts, the tension dissolves, and the body begins to heal. Forgiveness is medicine for the soul and tonic for the body. The moment you release the past, divine life flows freely through you, and health is restored. Jesus taught us this truth when he said, "Forgive, and you shall be forgiven." This is not merely a moral instruction, it is a law of mind. The measure you give to your subconscious is the measure it gives back to you. If you measure out condemnation, you experience more condemnation. If you measure out forgiveness, you experience freedom. Therefore, when you fail, forgive yourself quickly. Say within, I release the past. I forgive myself completely. God's love has already cleansed me. I am free to begin anew. Such affirmations impress freedom upon your subconscious, and the outer chains fall away. It is important also to forgive others when you have failed, for often your mind may seek to blame someone else for your misfortune. Yet blaming others ties you to them with cords of resentment. True freedom comes only when you release them as well. Say, I release you to God. I bless you and I set you free. You cannot hinder me, for God is my source. Nothing and no one can block my good. In forgiving others, you free yourself. You unbind your subconscious from the pattern of bitterness, and you open it to the pattern of harmony. The truth is that every soul is learning. Life is a great schoolroom, and mistakes are lessons, not life sentences. If you condemn yourself for your mistakes, you miss the lesson and repeat the class. If you forgive yourself, you learn the lesson and move forward. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks growth. It is the door that opens to wisdom. It is the light that dispels the darkness of guilt. Beloved, hear this. God never condemns you. He knows your weakness, yet he loves you still. He knows your errors, yet he provides endless opportunities for growth. His mercy is everlasting, his compassion infinite. When you fail, do not run from him in shame. Run to him in trust. Say, Father, I have stumbled, but I return to you. I accept your forgiveness. I accept your love. I accept your wisdom guiding me forward. In that moment, the burden of guilt dissolves, and your heart is made new. Do not think that forgiving yourself makes you careless or irresponsible. On the contrary, it empowers you to act more wisely. When you live under guilt, you are paralyzed, afraid to try again, afraid to hope, afraid to move forward. But when you forgive yourself, you regain courage. You say, I am free to rise, I am free to learn, I am free to try again, stronger and wiser than before. Forgiveness restores hope, and hope gives birth to action. Action leads to success. Consider also the law of substitution in the subconscious mind. When a negative image is impressed, such as guilt or condemnation, it must be replaced with a positive image, not merely denied. Forgiveness does this beautifully. When you say, I forgive myself, you are not just denying guilt, you are affirming grace. You are substituting the image of love for the image of failure. The subconscious then accepts this new image and begins to express it. Soon you find yourself acting with more confidence, attracting better circumstances, and enjoying greater peace. Beloved, make forgiveness a daily practice. Each night before you sleep, release all bitterness, all self-condemnation, all regret. Say, I release everyone and everything into the hands of God. I forgive myself and others completely. I rest now in peace, knowing I am loved, I am guided, I am renewed. With such nightly affirmations, your subconscious is cleansed, your sleep is restful, and your tomorrows are brighter. Let us affirm now together, I forgive myself for all mistakes known and unknown. God's love has set me free. I forgive all others and release them completely. I am cleansed, renewed, and made whole. Divine love fills me, divine wisdom guides me, divine power strengthens me. I walk forward in peace and confidence. Repeat this often, and you will discover the wondrous freedom of a forgiven heart. Remember, forgiveness is the bridge between failure and victory. Without it, you remain stuck in the past. With it, you step into a new future. Without it, you are chained to mistakes. With it, you are free to grow. Without it, your subconscious reproduces guilt. With it, your subconscious reproduces grace. Choose forgiveness, and you choose freedom. Therefore, when you fail, do not rehearse guilt. Release it. Do not condemn yourself. Forgive yourself. Do not dwell in shadows. Step into the light of God's mercy. He loves you with an everlasting love. He renews you with infinite compassion. He guides you with unfailing wisdom. Forgive yourself, accept His forgiveness, and walk forward renewed, empowered, and victorious. Beloved, let us now reflect upon the radiant truth that every failure, every stumble, every seeming defeat carries within it a priceless treasure, the gift of learning and the opportunity for spiritual growth. The unwise mind sees failure as the end. The illumined mind sees it as the beginning of wisdom. For life is a great teacher, and failure is one of its most effective lessons. When you learn from your errors, when you extract wisdom from your missteps, when you allow the seeming darkness to show you where the light must shine, you transform failure into the very seed of success. Nothing is wasted in God's universe. Even your mistakes are woven into the divine pattern, shaping you, refining you, preparing you for higher good. Think of the sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble. Each stroke seems destructive to the untrained eye, but in truth each strike reveals the beauty hidden within. So it is with your failures. They chip away the false beliefs, the unwise habits, the errors of thought, until the divine pattern within you shines forth. Every mistake points to a correction. Every loss points to a deeper law to be learned. Every stumble points to a greater strength to be developed. When you see failure in this way, you no longer fear it. You embrace it as your teacher, knowing that within it lies the key to your advancement. Beloved, you must not curse your failures. Bless them. Do not say, "This has ruined me." Say instead, "This has taught me. This has refined me. This has made me wiser." For in truth, wisdom is often born more from mistakes than from easy victories. A child learns to walk by stumbling. Each fall strengthens its muscles and sharpens its balance. So too you learn to walk with God more firmly through the stumbles of life. Each time you fall, you discover more of your own inner resources, more of the divine power sustaining you. The subconscious mind is impressionable. If you interpret failure as permanent defeat, your subconscious accepts that image and reproduces it, creating more of the same. But if you interpret failure as a lesson, as growth, as the seed of success, then your subconscious accepts this higher image and begins to produce strength, wisdom, and new opportunities. The meaning you give to failure determines the harvest you reap from it. Therefore, choose wisely. See every mistake as an investment in your growth, every setback as a teacher, every disappointment as a message of wisdom. History is filled with those who turned failure into greatness. Thomas Edison said that each failed experiment was not wasted, but brought him closer to success. For it revealed what would not work and thus guided him toward what would. The same principle applies in the spiritual life. Each time you stumble, you learn something about the laws of mind, the nature of your subconscious, the patterns of your thought. If you are willing to learn, no failure is wasted. It becomes a stepping stone to a higher understanding, a deeper faith, a stronger will. Beloved, the infinite intelligence within you never condemns you for your mistakes. It uses them as raw material for your growth. The oak tree does not despise the storms that bend it. It grows stronger roots because of them. The river does not curse the rocks in its path. It flows around them, carving new beauty into the landscape. In the same way, you must not despise your failures. Flow with them, learn from them, let them deepen your roots and broaden your vision. When you look back on your life, you will often see that your greatest growth came not from easy successes, but from difficult failures. It was in the moments of disappointment that you discovered new strength. It was in the hours of darkness that you sought God more deeply. It was in the valley of failure that you learned lessons that the mountain of success could never teach. Therefore, do not shrink from failure. Do not fear it. Welcome it as a guide. Bless it as a teacher. Transform it into a friend. Affirm daily, every experience in my life is for my good. Every failure is a lesson. Every mistake teaches me wisdom. God's infinite intelligence guides me through all experiences, turning them into blessings. I learn, I grow, I rise higher. Such affirmations impress your subconscious with the truth that life is a continuous upward spiral. Even when you fall, you are moving forward, for you are learning, and learning is progress. Beloved, Understand that there is no shame in failing. The only shame is in refusing to rise again, in refusing to learn, in refusing to grow. The wise soul uses failure as fuel. It gathers the embers of disappointment and kindles them into the fire of determination. It takes the lessons of yesterday and builds them into the foundation of tomorrow. It sees failure not as a wall, but as a doorway, not as a punishment, but as preparation. Do not then dwell on your mistakes. Do not rehearse them in your mind as if they were permanent stains. Instead, extract the wisdom and release the rest. Say, I bless the lesson and I let go of the pain. I take the wisdom and I release the guilt. I grow stronger, wiser, and more radiant each day. This practice frees your subconscious from the chains of regret and fills it instead with the patterns of progress. Beloved, let us meditate also on the eternal truth that God Himself is your teacher. When you fail, it is not merely life teaching you, it is the infinite guiding you into deeper understanding. His wisdom is woven into every experience. His voice speaks through every lesson. When you stumble, He whispers, learn this and you will walk more firmly next time. When you fall, He says, rise again, for I am with you. When you lose, He assures you, this loss is making room for greater gain. With such an understanding, even failure becomes a conversation with God, a dialogue of love, a classroom of divine wisdom. Therefore, walk boldly, unafraid of mistakes. Know that whatever happens, you are always growing, always learning, always moving toward the fullness of your destiny. No failure is final, no mistake is wasted, no loss is permanent. All is woven into the tapestry of divine order. Your task is to see the lesson, embrace it, and move forward in faith. Let us affirm together now, I learn from every experience. Every failure carries within it the seed of success. Every mistake is a lesson guiding me to greater wisdom. I am not defeated. I am instructed. I am not broken. I am strengthened. God's wisdom shines through all my experiences, and I grow daily in knowledge, love, and power. Beloved, take these words into your heart. Practice them daily. Remember that your failures are not stumbling blocks, but stepping stones. Each one brings you closer to your true self, closer to your divine purpose, closer to God. Rejoice then, even in failure, for it is the hidden face of success, the shadow that points to light, the teacher that guides you upward. Beloved, let us now lift our hearts to the profound truth that when you fail, the answer is not to withdraw, not to shrink back, not to run away in despair, but to draw closer to God in prayer and communion. For prayer is the golden bridge that lifts you from the valley of defeat to the mountain of renewal. Prayer is the opening of the heart to infinite intelligence, the tuning of the soul to divine harmony, the conscious uniting of your thought with the mind of God. When you fail, it is not a signal to hide in shame, but an invitation to lean into the everlasting arms, to pour out your burdens, to receive strength, to be renewed in spirit. Many people, when they stumble, turn away from God because they feel unworthy. They say, I have failed, therefore He cannot love me. I have made mistakes, therefore He must be angry with me. But such thoughts are illusions born of fear. God does not turn away from you when you fall. He is like the sun that shines upon the earth without ceasing. The clouds of guilt may obscure His rays, but the light remains constant. When you turn in prayer, the clouds of fear and shame dissolve, and you feel once more the warmth of His love. Prayer is not begging, nor is it pleading with a reluctant power. Prayer is the recognition of truth, the realization of God's presence, the affirmation of His love and wisdom flowing through you now. When you pray in the midst of failure, you are not trying to change God's mind, you are changing your own. You are lifting your thought from the shadows of defeat to the light of divine possibility. Prayer is a change in consciousness, and when consciousness changes, circumstances follow. Beloved, know that your subconscious responds powerfully to prayer. When you pray affirmatively, when you declare, God is guiding me now, His strength lifts me, His wisdom directs me, I rise renewed and victorious, the subconscious accepts these words as truth. It then sets into motion forces that reorganize your mind, your body, and your environment to reflect that prayer. Prayer is the seed, and life itself is the harvest. What you sow in prayer, you reap in experience. Think of prayer not as a last resort, but as your first response. The moment you stumble, turn inward and upward. Say within yourself, Father, I have failed, but I know you have not abandoned me. You are my light in darkness, my strength in weakness, my wisdom in confusion. I accept your guidance now. I accept your love now. I accept your renewal now. Such a prayer lifts you immediately. It calms the turbulence of fear. It dissolves the poison of guilt, and it fills your heart with peace. In that peace, new ideas come, new strength flows, and new opportunities arise. Prayer is not limited by time or place. You do not need special words or rituals. You need only sincerity and faith. You can pray in silence as you walk, as you rest, as you breathe. Every breath can become a prayer of renewal. God is with me. God strengthens me. God renews me. Such constant communion impresses your subconscious with divine truth until it becomes the very atmosphere of your being. Then, even in the midst of failure, you remain calm, confident, and assured of ultimate victory. Beloved, remember the words of the psalmist. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Notice, it does not say he will be a help someday. It says he is a very present help now. When you pray, you are not calling God from afar. You are awakening to his presence that is already within and around you. The kingdom of God is within you. Prayer awakens you to that kingdom. Prayer opens the inner door so that the infinite resources of God flow into your outer life. Consider how Jesus himself turned to prayer when he faced the apparent failure of rejection, when he was despised and opposed. He did not run from the Father. He drew closer in communion. Not my will, but thine be done, he prayed. In those words lies the secret of true prayer. It is not clinging to your own plans, but surrendering to divine wisdom. When you fail, you may not see the full picture, but God does. He knows how to turn even your mistakes into miracles. Prayer aligns you with that higher wisdom. Let us make prayer practical. Each time you feel the sting of failure, pause and enter the silence. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and affirm within. God is here. God is guiding me. God is strengthening me. This failure is transformed into success. This mistake is turned into wisdom. I am renewed, restored, and uplifted. Repeat this gently until you feel the peace of God fill your heart. That peace is the sign your prayer is answered, for peace always precedes outward demonstration. Beloved, prayer is not an escape from reality. It is the most powerful engagement with reality, for it connects you with the source of all that is real. It is the alignment of your little mind with the infinite mind. When you pray, you are not trying to overcome God's reluctance. You are laying hold of his willingness. You are saying yes to the good he has already prepared for you. Do not wait for a crisis to pray. Make prayer your daily rhythm, your constant companion. In times of success, pray in gratitude. In times of failure, pray in trust. In times of confusion, pray in faith. In times of peace, pray in love. Let every state of mind, every season of life, be sanctified with prayer, and you will find that failure loses its sting, for you live always in the presence of God's sustaining power. Prayer transforms failure because it transforms you. It changes your perspective, lifts your vibration, fills your mind with new ideas, and strengthens your will. It makes you resilient, so that what would have crushed you before now becomes only a stepping stone. Prayer renews your faith, and faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you pray with faith, you create the inner blueprint for outer success, and in time that blueprint must manifest. Let us now affirm together, in every failure, I turn to God in prayer. His wisdom guides me, his love fills me, his power strengthens me. I am not alone, for God is with me always. Every mistake is turned into a miracle, every setback into a setup, every failure into success. I live in constant communion with the infinite, and my life unfolds in divine order. Beloved, take this truth into your heart. When failure comes, do not run away from God. Run toward him. Run into his presence. Through prayer, there you will find peace for your troubled mind, strength for your weary heart, and wisdom for your next step. In prayer, failure is not the end. It is the beginning of a greater chapter, the opening of a new door, the dawn of a brighter day. Beloved, let us come now to the glorious truth that when you fail, you are not to remain in the dust of defeat, but to rise stronger, wiser, and more radiant than before. Every fall carries within it the seed of a greater rise. Every ending is the beginning of a new chapter. For the law of life is resurrection, the continual rising of the soul from darkness to light, from weakness to strength, from defeat to victory. You are not defined by your failures. You are defined by the divine life within you, and that life is ever pressing you upward, ever lifting you into greater expressions of your true nature. Consider how the seasons themselves testify to this law. The winter appears barren and lifeless, yet hidden beneath the frost, new life is preparing. In spring, the earth rises renewed, more vibrant than before. In the same way, when you fail, it may seem like the winter of your soul, yet beneath the surface, God's wisdom is at work, preparing you for a springtime of renewal. Do not despair in the winter of failure, for it is but the prelude to the spring of victory. Beloved, when you rise after failure, you do not rise as the same person who fell. You rise with new understanding, with deeper compassion, with greater strength. You rise transformed. This is why failure is not the opposite of success, but its companion. It is the refining fire that tempers your character, the storm that strengthens your roots, the night that makes the dawn more glorious. The very things that seem to break you become the things that make you radiant. Do not say, I am ruined by this mistake. Say, instead, I am refined by this mistake. Do not say, this has ended me. Say, this has strengthened me. For every failure is a teacher, every loss a lesson, every fall a preparation for greater rising. The subconscious mind accepts the impressions you give it. If you feed it images of defeat, it will reproduce defeat. But if you impress it with the truth that you rise stronger, wiser, and more radiant, it will manifest that truth in your outer life. Let us therefore speak words of resurrection. Though I fall, I shall rise. Though I fail, I am not a failure. God lifts me now. His strength flows through me. His wisdom guides me. His love restores me. I am stronger than before, wiser than before, more radiant than before. Repeat these words until they are etched into your subconscious, and your life will testify to their truth. Beloved, do you not see how the pattern of resurrection is woven throughout creation? The seed must fall into the ground and die before it brings forth new life. The caterpillar must dissolve in the cocoon before it emerges as a butterfly. The night must reach its darkest point before the dawn breaks. So it is with you. Your failure is not final. It is transformation. It is the cocoon from which you will emerge with new wings. It is the soil from which you will rise as a fruitful harvest. It is the night before your dawn. When you rise stronger, it means you have discovered resilience within yourself that you did not know was there. When you rise wiser, it means you have gained insight that success alone could not teach. When you rise more radiant, it means you have shed the heaviness of pride and guilt, and you now shine with humility and grace. Such is the gift of failure when you meet it with faith. Beloved, let your failures be stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. The stone that trips the careless becomes the stepping stone of the wise. The difference is in how you use it. If you complain, you remain. If you blame, you stay the same. But if you rise, you transform the stone of stumbling into the stone of strength. Every time you rise, you carve a higher path, and those who follow after you are lifted as well. Remember, too, that your rising is not by your strength alone, but by the power of God within you. You are never abandoned, never forsaken. The infinite presence dwells in you, urging you upward, filling you with new vitality. As the sap rises in the tree each spring, so does the divine life rise in you, bringing forth new blossoms of faith, new fruits of wisdom, new leaves of joy. Trust that inner rising, for it is the very life of God expressing itself in you. When you rise stronger, wiser, more radiant, you become a living testimony to others who are still in the valley of failure. Your light shines as a beacon of hope. They look at you and say, if she could rise, so can I. If he could overcome, so can I. Your story of renewal inspires others to rise. Thus even your failures are turned into blessings for the world, for they become the soil of your compassion and the fountain of your encouragement to others. Beloved, train your subconscious daily with affirmations of rising. Say in the morning, today I rise with God's strength. Today I shine with God's light. Today I walk in wisdom and victory. Say in the evening, though I may have stumbled, I am renewed. Though I may have erred, I am forgiven. I rest in God's presence, and tomorrow I rise stronger still. Such practices impress upon your subconscious the inevitability of rising, so that even when you fail, you cannot remain down. The inner law compels you upward. The truth is this: failure is not final, defeat is not permanent, and darkness cannot endure. The law of life is renewal. The power of God is resurrection. The nature of your soul is to rise. And nothing, no mistake, no loss, no setback can prevent that rising, unless you choose to stay down. But you, beloved, are called to rise. You are destined to shine. You are created to reflect the infinite glory of God. Therefore, embrace your failures as stepping stones. Let them teach you, let them strengthen you, let them refine you, and then rise stronger than the storm, wiser than the mistake, more radiant than the darkness. Walk forward with your head lifted, your heart aflame, your spirit shining, knowing that God Himself is your strength, your wisdom, your light. Let us affirm now together: I rise from every failure, I rise stronger, I rise wiser, I rise more radiant. God's love sustains me, His wisdom guides me, His power lifts me. Every fall is followed by a greater rising, every ending by a new beginning, every defeat by a greater victory. I live in the law of resurrection, and I shine with the light of God. Beloved, carry this truth in your heart. Failure is not your identity. Rising is. Defeat is not your destiny. Victory is. Darkness is not your dwelling. Light is. When you fail, run toward God, and in His presence you will find the power to rise stronger, wiser, more radiant than you have ever been before.